Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Soo Downe. I'm the chair of this action, this EU cost action, and I have the pleasure of doing the first session today with you all. As those of you who have not registered, can I just reiterate, make sure you register before lunchtime so you have your lunch tickets. Mario, who's done the amazing organisation for this conference, will be giving you other technical details about fire exits and toilets and so on and so forth towards the end of this session. And so for now, I just want to kind of dive into the first session because we are a little bit late and we'll try and pick up time as we go along. So I wanted quickly just to explain why we're here. Many of you are part of this research project, this EU cost action. Some of you are not. So just a very quick explanation as to why we felt this was important. So many of you will know about this series, the Lancet series, which talks about how within maternity care we are increasingly experiencing a paradox where in many parts of the world women are getting too little care too late, and that's causing all kinds of problems for them and their babies. But in other parts of the world, many of which are represented today by you all, it's the opposite. Too much information is happening and it's happening too soon, intervention. And this particular action, our cost action, is rather focused on the second than the first, although they both go hand in hand. One of the concerning issues about this increase in interventions is that there are parallel increases in mortality. This is the data from the USA, which is the country with one of the highest rates of caesareans and interventions in labour and birth, and maternal mortality is rising, going up in the USA. This is obviously a concern. And the BMJ, the British Medical Journal in the UK, did this really interesting little front cover a few years ago. I don't know if you can see or if my little clicky works. No, but you can see the text at the bottom. It starts off with saying arming the health, i.e. doing things at the right time for the right person in the right way so that health is maximised. And then by just putting an A and an L at the beginning of that phrase, you come to alarming the healthy. So from arming the health to alarming the healthy. This is this idea that as we increasingly label people as either sick or not yet sick, i.e. never healthy, people become more and more scared about their health and their well-being. And then the bottom is harming the healthy. So if we continue along this line, we actually end up doing harm rather than good. This is the area that we're interested in. And what that editorial concluded with is overdiagnosis is one of the most harmful and costly problems in modern healthcare. I'm not going to go through this in great detail because Metchel will be telling you more about it in her session. But we are interested in this cost action in a whole range of perspectives on this thing called physiological birth. So we're interested in the biological, we're interested in the neurological, the mechanical, the biomechanical, the architectural, the sociological, and so on, and how all those things interact. And you'll be hearing more and more of this as the couple of days go on. And also, one of the big foci in terms of high rates of intervention is caesarean, but we are particularly interested not just in reducing caesarean, but in increasing spontaneous labour and birth. And this is some data from mares that were induced and the consequences for the foals in terms of a whole range of biochemical reactions in the foal that's of concern when it comes to induction as well as caesarean. And certainly the evidence you'll hear from Lillian Peters in her session is that actually we should be focusing much more on not on the adverse effects of interventions, but on the positive effects of not intervening unless we really need to. And of course, if we need to, we must. But it's that balance between those two phenomena. This is a conclusion from quite an old guide from WHO, but I think it's an important one to bear in mind. The uncritical adoption of a range of unhelpful, untimely, inappropriate, unnecessary interventions, poorly evaluated, is a risk. And I think that's something that we need to bear in mind. But the final part of this, I think, is quite interesting because it says a risk run by those who try to improve maternity services. I think we should bear in mind that the state we're in terms of too much too soon isn't willful. It's actually a consequence of trying to do the best. And so part of what this action is saying is, okay, here's another way of trying to do the best. Let's see if we can use this way to improve. That is, by maximising physiological processes where that's in the best interest of mothers and babies and making sure those that need the interventions get them, not least because there's a cost attached to it. So this particular data, again, which is a little bit old, but it comes from the States, looked at a whole range of over-medicalized conditions. And I don't like the word over-medicalization, but this is the word they used. And because I think it's not just done by doctors, it's done across the piece. But this is in millions of dollars. So normal pregnancy and over-medicalizing, in their terms, normal pregnancy and delivery, an excess cost of $18 billion a year is what this matters. Because the problem with that is, if you're spending that money on labour and birth, you cannot spend it on other things. You can't spend it on dementia. You can't spend it on babies in the neonatal unit. You can't spend it on orthopedics. It's not a net sum gain. You know, either you spend it on this or you spend it on that. You can't spend it on both. It's an opportunity cost. So we are thinking about making sense of it all through our cost action. COST is a program run by the EU which supports networks. It doesn't fund research, and what you'll see, the research that you'll see through these 2 days, some of which is directly a result of cost, some indirectly, and some not at all. Some is work that you yourselves have submitted, but certainly the cost work does not have any funding for the research itself. The funding is only for the networking, so bear that in mind. That's just to let you know the basic outline of what COST is. And there's a particular interest in young researchers within the COST network within the EU, and we have a very high rate of young researchers in our COST action. So we've actually had 2 actions, in fact, so running over 8 years back to back, so 4 years and 4 years, and we're now coming to the end of our 8th year. And actually I would say it takes this long, because the things that you're seeing now have taken 8 years to get to this point, and in fact there are lots of other things bubbling under that won't come out for the next couple. So I think it probably takes 10 years to make a network like this really function. Our objective is, as you see, and we so far have over 120 individuals in the network, and you can see they range from scientists of various kinds, so sociologists, biomechanics, engineering, architecture, obstetrics, midwifery, pediatrics, you know, the whole range, plus artists, professionals, as you can see, activists, and service users. Because the idea is that we're not just doing this for the sake of the science, we're doing it because we wanted to make a difference. And you can see the number of countries that are involved. Website, you can go to the website if you want more information. And this is the way the action works. And many people that are on these groups are here today. Some are not, but most are here today. Chair and Vice Chair Ramon, where are you? Ramon. There's our Vice Chair. And here are the working group leaders, and you're going to hear from them in the next session. We've been sharing our work widely, and we have two series, so 2 academic series. One in an Italian journal, Minerva Gynica, and the other one in PLOS ONE, and both of those will be out in the next year, so papers coming out across the board in those journals. We also, this is a picture from Bulgaria. Joanna, I'm not sure if you're going to speak about what you're doing, but amazing changes happening in Bulgaria through partly the action. And then this is a book which was put together by Olga and Jean, and Jean's daughter, called Embryoland. And it's a great book that's going to be launched on Amazon, which is a combination of some of the evidence and some of the artistry and everything else that's been coming out. So we have a whole range of outputs from the project that are not just academic. So to finalise, really, knowledge is having the right answer, but intelligence is asking the right question. And what we want to do within this cost action is to ask different questions. And you may have seen there's a paper that's come out of the Lancet series on midwifery, which talks about asking different questions in research. And this is what we're trying to do. Information is, as I say, on the website. That's a brief gallop through cost. And if any of you want any more information, obviously ask me or any of the others you're going to see coming to talk now. And without further ado, I think, because of the time, we need to crack on.